Hello there! Welcome to Good Vibes, Good Rides. My name is Greg. Today, we're going to do some manuals. Yeah.
So anyways guys, we are going to be doing manuals today, talking about how to do them. In the past I've done them on my BMX, but since getting into mountain bikes I haven't been able to do one yet. So we're going to be going over the key points that you want to focus on and the things that kind of will trip up a newbie learning manuals as they're doing that process. So let's get into it. So what are the key points of manualing, you might ask? Well, first of all, we have looping out, which is where your bike's going to want to go all the way back when you pull back, and you're going to fall off the back of the bike. And before you start manualing, you want to get comfortable doing that so that you're not afraid of it when you're trying to manual. And then the second point that we're going to focus on is your balance point, which is going to be the point just before you loop out and just before your front end comes back down to the ground. And then the third point we're going to focus on is keeping your body balanced by moving it back and forth, using your legs and using your hips, moving them back and forth on the bike. And then the fourth point that we're going to focus on is having reference points, such as the parking spaces that we have here. So you're going to want a parking lot or just some big space with like cracks in the ground or whatever, and you're going to use those as reference points to know how far you've gone and how far you've progressed and how well you're doing with your manuals. So for today's video, I think we're just going to try and get like maybe 4 parking spaces, and then that'll be our goal for today. So we're going to start doing that.
Having learned manuals in the past, I've done my fair share of looping out. The experience on a mountain bike was slightly different, but I decided to skip looping out this time and get right to trying manuals. If you're trying manuals for the first time, however, I'd really recommend that you take some time to focus on purposefully looping out. Doing so gives you a better idea of where the balance point is on your bike in comparison to the point where you loop out. Most beginners I see trying to manual often don't pull the bike far enough back due to the fear of leaning too far back and looping out. Getting over this fear makes the process go much smoother, and the more comfortable you are with looping out, the easier it will be to get into the balance point and hold it for even longer.
Well, that took a lot quicker than I thought. Alright, so we got our 4 parking lot lines done. So now we're going to try for, let's say, like 6. So we're going to do 1. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So we need to make it from like 118 all the way to 113 for 6 parking spaces.
From this point on, it was mostly an issue of trial and error for me, and finding the balance point of the bike and then holding it for as long as possible. To help hold yourself in the balance point, you're going to need to shift your weight back and forth on the bike, using your legs and hips. Some people like to use their brakes to help out, but having learned manuals on a brakeless bike, I usually stick to just using my body weight. As you are manualing, you'll probably end up looking directly in front of you, or at your forks, or your front wheel. But it's actually going to work much better to look far ahead to the point you want to reach, or even past that point, since for some reason this often helps increase the length of your manuals just that much further.
If you notice, I had a little bit more speed going into that one, and a big part of manualing longer distances is you need to keep up the speed since you're not really pedaling. So for that one, it made it a lot easier if I had just a little bit extra speed, and you don't have to manual for as long of a time, so it makes it a little bit easier that way too. How many spaces should I do?
Do 9.
9.
When you're learning something like the manual, or any skill in life really, you're often going to find yourself getting to the point which many people call the hump. The point where you feel like you're putting in so much effort, but making zero progress. Sometimes this just means that you need to start again, start from scratch. But more often than not, if you keep pushing through, putting in just that little extra bit of effort, at some point you're going to find yourself on the other side of that hump, finally achieving the success you've been looking for. And the whole time you felt like you were stagnating and making no progress, but in actuality, that feeling that feels like you're simply bashing your head against a wall often signifies growth. It means you're overcoming something hard, and will often come out the other side a stronger and even more skilled person.
Now, the key, I find the real key to mountain biking and manualing is to make sure that both your helmet and your bike and everything possible matches in color. The reason I'm struggling right now is probably because I have this gray shirt and gray pants, and they should be blue. But maybe next time we'll do it a little bit better. Well, tried our best, but slowly losing daylight, so we're gonna have to end it here. But that's kind of just how it goes with manuals. It's just a repetition, and there's gonna be times, especially if you're starting out from like zero, there's gonna be times when you feel like you're literally just like bashing your head against the wall. So the key thing with it is just not to get discouraged and keep trying at it. And maybe at some point we'll do an update video once I've done a little bit more practicing and see where I'm at in the future. So may your rides be as good as this outro is lame, and I'll see you guys. Like come up to the camera.
We're into some manuals.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of Good Rides, Good Vibes. I said that backwards.
So basically this is the part where I take over. Now, my personal thoughts are, he's doing a good job, but he needs to let loose, you know? He's holding back a little bit, so I think if he lets go of that fear, then we'll get to 9 spaces.
Can I take over my video?
No?